Dale, what are your thoughts on the two major parties?
I don't like either one of them. They're not much different from each other, really, other than rhetoric and some buzzwords, things like that.
What would you think of, joining a political party that just has parties?
It sounds great. Just throwing parties, you can't hurt anyone that way, you know.
I guess we're going to be, possibly holding some events at 5 p.m. on Tuesdays, starting off maybe at the tap room. That could be subject to change as to where it happens, but would you be interested in coming to such an event?
I might come to a party event, yeah.
Yeah, of course it may be a little bit more like American Idol type rant or something like that.
Yeah.
If you could think of something to rant about, what would it be?
Something to rant about. Having to do with political parties?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't even know where to start. I don't, the whole arrangement and the whole setup I'm not a fan of politics. I don't have much faith in it for accomplishing change, so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to start. I could rant about any of it. Just pick a topic. I could probably rant about it.
Do you want to, I think you've already had a little bit of a chance to look at the WinWin Party platform.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a look at it again and pick it apart? Because you had some debating points against it, I think, if I recall correctly.
Did I say anything to you about it?
I'm not sure of it.
I only just looked at it. I don't think...
you haven't had a chance to work up objections yet?
Well, no, I have.
What are your objections?
Well, and a lot of it is just it's another party. It sounded like it was all about throwing parties, and now there's a bunch of stuff in here that has to do with politics as usual, a lot of it. So I guess I'm not as impressed when I heard they were just going to throw parties.
Yeah, everybody get a good reaction on that.
Let's see. So, yeah, I mean, some of the starting off self-correction, self-discipline. That sounds good. Just laws and just law enforcement, again, that's getting into politics as usual, I think, and it mentions voters. The concept of voting to me is gang violence. It's majority taking advantage of the minority and exploiting them and imposing their will on them. So anytime the word voters gets used, I think violence. When I hear just laws, I think who's going to make the laws and who decides whether they're just, because I don't consider any person to be better than another person inherently. So I don't know if I would not invest that authority into someone to decide which laws are just or not. Local rule priority. It sounds better than a huge federal government. Yes. I don't know that. To me, it's. I don't. Again, I don't have faith in politics. It does sound better, but I don't know that. I don't see us getting there.
Do you believe in the rule of law, Dale?
What do you mean by the rule of law?
That's a good question. Oh, hang on just a second. Let me wait till he's gone by and I'll ask you again.
Natural law, I guess, but natural law evolves.
Do you believe in the rule of law?
What do you mean by the rule of law?
Well, I don't know. I don't think anybody does.
It sounds like a catchphrase. I don't know. I mean,
I guess the Roman definition of it was the law was above the rulers.
Yeah, I believe in natural law, of course, and that's something that evolves. It's not that requires that it not be a central authority figure who's deciding what the laws are. So, in that sense, I would say yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair question. Win-win political legislating. Yeah, it sounds like politicians should make better choices, sure, but I don't expect that structure to do that. The nature of that structure is about exploitation and power. I don't expect it. It sounds great.
What do you think will work for getting us?
I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
Yeah. What do you think will work for getting us to more freedom?
I think that for the government, for people who think we need a smaller government, I would be with them. I don't believe in authority imposed on other people in the first place, but for people who think we need a smaller government, I'd say the way we get there is by opposing government. I think if you try to fix government, the nature of it is to get larger. You have to oppose it for it to get smaller. So I agree with those people who would like it to be smaller, but I think you have to oppose it. You enable it when you try to join up with it and manipulate it from the inside, I think, and it's by nature gets larger and more imposing into our personal lives and more intrusive.
From looking through this, what would you say is like your number one debating point with the WinWin Party?
Well, down here, it doesn't sound very well thought out. The part that really jumped out at me is when it says natural resources should be owned by communities. There's several collectively. The word collectively is mentioned several times. Communities mentioned here, and collectivism in general doesn't make sense to me. They're only individuals. I mean, you can form into voluntary groups, certainly. So I don't know who defines what the community is. I don't know how that gets defined. I don't know, is it, and if there are some, and once it's defined, what if someone disagrees with those definitions or the boundaries, or is it you know, is it a geographical boundary, and who decides what that geographical boundary is? Is it every person on Earth? Is it, you know, that sounds very vague to me. And the whole notion of paying rent to rent being paid to community revenue sounds very vague, and I don't know how those boundaries get defined. And so that jumps out at me as being a little disturbing.
Great.
Patents and copyrights, don't believe in them at all. What they're talking about here is, again, it's better. It's you know, but I don't believe in patents and copyrights. I think it's an irrational fiction.